Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Rory. It's a banner week. This is a tough one. It's a tough way for me to start this show, okay? Because last week I said the king was going to be back in his court, get the crown back. That's me, by the way, with the golf picks. I am on an icer here. I have been put on ice right now, and we are joined because back-to-back big golf tournaments. First of all, we're going to dig into the Canadian Open and the talented Mr. Fox and all of that stuff. A lot of Canadian content as well. And we've got to preview the U.S. Open, so who better do that than our buddy Ian Doig. Doigy, you're back on the show, and you and I have to concede immediate, basically, victory to Mr. Clark here. Our teams performed absolutely terribly in our Canadian Open pickoff, sir. We suck.
Big time. Although I had one good player who had a chance to win the golf tournament, but other than that, I sucked.
I had two, which is a bummer. And remember our rules. If half your team does not make the cut, you're out. So despite the fact that I had Sammy Burns cooking up there, I had Shane Lowry on a nice little cook-off too. I actually would have won the tournament if one more guy had made the cut for me. But that's not the rules.
That's not the rules, man.
And the rules
Let's get to it. Let's see. This could be the biggest victory margin in tournament history for
it's not.
You know what's crazy is I was getting text messages from Clarkey on Friday night. I've already won. I
didn't even know at that time because I knew you had one guy to make the cut, and I'm like, oh, Toigy's out already. And then I looked at Ryan's, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So like the minus 31 and the minus 16, it's basically zero because you don't get. So I had a 36 stroke win because like the numbers don't matter if you get disqualified. So anyway,
the numbers don't.
All my guys made the cut. All my guys.
Yeah, you and you know what? You were riding the good Canadian karma.
I told you guys.
Team back,
I said it to you. I said it on the show. I worry about these superstars. I worry about the superstars in these tournaments.
You got a Maple Leaf vibe.
They show up and they collect their money and they go.
Well, that doesn't always happen, to be fair.
Clarkey, they don't get money unless they make the cut.
They get appearance money, man.
No, they don't.
They do.
No.
You tell me Rory McIlroy didn't
Only Rory does because he's part of that thing, but they dismantled the top 10 thing.
No, they don't. They
get sponsor money.
So no, they sponsors and all that, but that's different. But they can't get paid by the tournament to show up. But how they get around it is on the Monday before or the Monday after, they'll do a charity corporate outing or something like that, and they'll go play at another golf course, and they'll pay them for the day. So that's how they get around it. But they don't. They'll do pro-ams and appearance money.
And I know, Sammy Burns and Ryan had Sammy Burns, and he got the little.
He's going to be thinking about.
Did you hear what happened?
Did the first up thing. Yeah, why don't you share with everybody?
He dissed the media. So first up, TSN 1050 had a guy at the Pro-Am Day or whatever? I think it was the Pro-Am Day. They had a guy at the rink hole, and after they made their tee shots or while they were waiting, whatever, they would get them on the air for like 2 minutes. Well, Sammy had to wait. Oh my God, he had to wait about 45 seconds to a minute before they actually got to him. Oh boy, wow, that's tough. Standing around on a golf course waiting a minute. So anyway, he first of all said, Doigy, we lost your camera, by the way.
Okay.
First of all, he complained, and then he left. He complained, he left, he didn't do the interview. And then he complained to the tour, and they got kicked off the tee, and they weren't allowed to do any more interviews. Like, what a jerk. Like, really?
That's not very good.
Yeah, I didn't love that.
Sam Burns, I'm never picking you in a pool again.
Yeah, and that hurts me because I like Sammy Burns and I like the cut of his jib on the American course, but he well, that's got much to do about nothing. Scotty Scheffler's American. You're not going to pick him this week.
No, it's not that.
Because you should.
It's not that. It's just
right. Anyway, I know what you're saying. I like Sammy Burns, but I'm going to have to avoid him for a little while too, because like, I don't love like, look, listen, I understand you're trying to focus. You're everybody's mindset on the course is a little different. I'm not expecting everybody to walk out there and, be happy go lucky or something. I understand that everybody can't walk out and be Happy Gilmore. I get it. But what I'm saying is like, look, all of these people and athletes in these situations, the reason that your profile is so big is because the media is there to cover it and bring coverage of these great events into our living rooms. So for Sam Burns to do that, I thought, and look, the bad karma came back and grabbed him, Clarkey.
Exactly.
I mean, he's going to be thinking about that. What do you have, a 3 or 4 footer, like a sitter there on the third playoff hole? That, he's going to be thinking about that for a long time.
I wanted to ask Ian because, it looked like the first 3 playoff holes that no one wanted to win. They didn't seem very aggressive. They weren't going for it in 2. Then they changed the whole location instead of and I know it was all predetermined they were going to do this, but they should have moved the tee block up so they could go for it in 2. And then finally they did. And it was
fabulous Mr. Fox.
I have to confess, I didn't see any of the final round.
That's okay, buddy.
This is our golf guy.
This is our golf guy. Well, listen,
you were playing.
I was playing a practice round for my tournament. So on Monday and Tuesday,
we'll let you off.
And also Doigie's got a lot of tournaments upcoming here. There's a lot in the world. He's got this guy's.
Him and I are trying to get a golfer, all right? Here, and he's so busy.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. He'll set time aside for us when it's appropriate, okay?
But my Canadians did well. It was a good showing by a lot of Canadians.
Team Backbacon was flying.
And that's why I picked
Hughes. Mac Hughes was flying out there. Nick Taylor, he tailed off a bit at the end, but he was smoking on Saturday. It was a nice guy, I think. Oh, yeah,
he had a bad first day. After that, he was really good, but he had a bad first day.
But. He did. But I like him at the U.S. Open. We'll dig into that soon. But Mr. Fox, the New Zealander.
Rory McIlroy had a bad day, and him and Ludwig were paired together.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to touch on that first before we get to the fabulous Mr. Fox? Because Rory, I texted you guys. We have an instigating golf chat where we bounce messages back and forth, particularly when we have picks on the line. And
you guys were quiet this
you
week.
Guys. Yeah, well, this is the first time this ever happened where 2 guys have been out on Friday. Our picks were just a mess, and I concede that. We're going to bounce back in a big way here, but Rory, talk about needing to bounce back. And I heard earlier that at a practice round that he just played at Oakmont, he shot 81, which might not be very uncommon based on the way that this golf course is playing. And we'll touch on that. But at the Canadian Open, I texted you guys, and I know you saw this shot. I think Rory on Friday, when he was trunk slamming, hit the worst golf shot I've ever seen by him. Yeah. And maybe a pro in the last 10 years. Believe it was on 11, a par 4, and he blasted this thing into downtown Orangeville. They had they called in the FBI to find this guy's ball and still couldn't, and he had to take one of the worst drops I've ever seen. It was crazy. The CIS, the
Mounties.
Yeah, Canadian Investigative Services. They couldn't find this guy's ball. What do you attribute that to? Because
new driver,
and that's where I was hoping Doigie would.
Sorry.
What's the deal with this driver? What's the deal with this?
He hasn't found a driver that he likes, and there's 2 clubs that you absolutely have to dial in, and that's your putter and your driver. And when his driver got caught for not conforming, he has not yet been able to find a head that matches with the shaft that he's been using to get him to drive it well. He said he's using a new driver again this week, completely new. So it's hard to say what that'll bring. But, and it could be something as simple. Look at when I test drivers, and whether it's a Titleist or a Callaway or TaylorMade or whatever, the one I'm hitting, if I'm hitting it really, really well, that's the one I want. But typically what they want to do, that's a demo. they want to order me the same specs and the same driver, but they never ever show up the same. You never hit them the same. There might be the gram weight of the shaft might be out by 3 grams, or the head might be out by 5 grams, or whatever, and that makes a difference. So if I can, when I'm testing the driver and I love the driver and fall in love with it, I want that driver. I don't want another one ordered for me. And that's what I think Rory's going through right now, is he's got a driver that he loves, but they can't match it.
I'm confused as to, and like, look, I understand, like, he's a tailor-made guy. He's like, I don't understand how something like this is occurring right now and why he would get away from the driver that he was using at the Masters and at the Players Championship and at Pebble, like, events that he was crushing. The driver he was using
to the rules.
Correct. Yeah, a bunch of players got.
Yeah. So every week,
what did they do? Did they change something, Ian?
Yeah. No, every week, 35 players get picked randomly to have their drivers tested, and they put it in a machine that tests it. But what happens is the tolerances on the spring effect in the face of the driver is so tight to what the regulations are, that once a player, say, use that same driver for 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 12 weeks, hitting ball after ball after ball on the range, that tolerance disappears, and then it becomes non-conforming. This face springs more than it should, and that makes it illegal. So he got tested with the driver that he had used at the Masters, but I don't know if he was tested at the Masters or right before it, but when he started with that driver, it conformed. But after the Masters at the PGA, it didn't conform anymore, so he had to get a new driver. And so,
how come there was a whole bunch of guys though? Did they change any rules about like the sprint? No, okay, because there was a bunch of guys that in the last month.
Scotty Scheffler had one that didn't conform. Rory had one that didn't conform.
Yeah, right. I think Shane Lowry did too.
Exactly.
You ain't trying.
Well, that's, I don't know about that. If it's not broke, don't fix it until someone tells you have to.
Right.
So essentially, like, it's just wear and tear on the face.
Yeah.
And eventually, it becomes like an old shoe, and you got to get a new one that complies within the rules.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I'm just surprised though that the last couple of weeks where he's acknowledged that he's been having these issues, that he hasn't been able to get in a lab somewhere and dial this thing in. Like, Rory.
He's tried.
I'm sure he is. And I'm just surprised that it's not, coming down. And we're talking about, millimeters of exactness. And I know it's a science here, but like Rory, like his whole thing is the big stick, and the big stick was letting him down at the Canadian Open, man.
I think his driver let him down, but I also think a little bit that his mind let him down, because if you go back and look at his press conference,
look what he was doing.
I told you guys.
But you look at his press conference on
exactly what
Wednesday,
I said was going to happen.
He didn't like the golf course right off the bat. He didn't like it. He said, "Oh, these fairways are wide and forgiving, and you can basically hit it anywhere." And then he did hit it anywhere but the fairway. So
he's got his Grand Slam. He's just packing it in.
I think he'll be back. I think he'll be fine.
Well, he's Rory. Like, we're not expecting him to drift into the abyss or anything here. And I will say, Clarkey, for this is a blind squirrel finds a nut situation, because you were saying the same thing before the Masters when Ian picked him first. You're like, oh, this guy can't get it done, and then he did. So we'll rewind the tape.
A little different.
We'll rewind the tape.
Go ahead, rewind the tape.
It's not different. I don't need to, because I know you said it.
No, I didn't.
Now. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the fantastic Mr. Fox. How did this guy pull this off? He's a guy that not a lot of people were super aware of. I wasn't very aware of him either, and now he's won. I know it's not a major. A lot of us up here would like to still consider it a major. It's a signature event. Okay, he wins this thing. What's it doing for him? How do you do it?
He's very proud of the fact that his name is on the Canadian Open trophy. That's a national championship.
He should be.
He should be proud.
He should be proud of it. And he played he played unbelievable.
He played very, very well. And that's 2 wins in the last month.
Yep.
On the PGA Tour at age 38. I think he's just finding his groove, right? He did change his putting, his putter and his putting stroke recently. And it seems to be working, obviously. but he's, some guys find their groove a little later in life, and he's found it, and he's going to have some fun.
Can I ask a question? And this
As
is
he
with
should.
all seriousness. Why don't more players, and maybe this is just because it's a one-off and it happened that he won, but why don't more guys look at this guy and say, this guy plays really fast and wins. Maybe I should pick up the pace in my game a little bit.
I know exactly who you're talking about. He didn't play in this tournament, but I mean,
well, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
there's a lot of guys who play slow, and like
everybody immediately thinks of Cantley.
When you watch the indoor golf, and they ask every golfer, "What's the best rule here?" Time clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Will we ever see this, Ian? And like, there's Fox proving that you can play quick, or not even quick, but play at a nice pace and win.
Well, couple things. Yes, I love the guys that play fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a real fast player, but I'm not slow. I'm ready to go.
You once told me I was a slow putter, and I didn't believe you.
Well, you do take a lot of time.
I fixed that now. I get over the ball, count to 3, and I go.
Maybe it's because you 3-putt, so it just takes a long time for you to hit 3 putts.
I'm happy with a 3-putt, to be honest with you.
But no, I think the guys that play quick, if you look at their backgrounds, they're not. Most of the guys that play fast are not American. They're from overseas. And I've always maintained that slow play is a North American thing. It happens all the time. Here's the thing that people don't understand.
Sergio was slow, though.
We have a time par right on the scorecards from when you tee off, and it tells you how much time you're supposed to play each hole in. Now, it varies from event to event. This event that I just played in, I was flabbergasted because we are the Ontario PGA. We're the professional golf association of this province, and we're supposed to oversee and help maintain and run everything. And our time par was 4 hours and 35 minutes on a 6,600-yard golf course. We should never, ever take that much time to play that golf course, but yet we did. It was absolutely agonizing to be out there.
4:35. Is that what you said? 4:35?
Yep, 4:35. That's what we put as our time par. And I was flabbergasted at that. I said to the people running the event, I said, if that's our goal and we miss it, we're almost at 5 hours. We should make our goal 3 hours and 55 minutes. And if we miss it, we're at 4:10. Right? And so it's very frustrating. I'm actually got an idea in my head that I want to do, and I'm going to call Chris Humanek at TPC, Osprey Valley. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to walk the golf course from the first tee to the 18th hole, basically down the middle of every fairway, and see how long that takes me. And then I'm going to take 3 players. The first player to hit on each hole is allowed 60 seconds to hit his shot. Each subsequent player after that is allowed 45 seconds. All right. So if they parred every hole and there was no delays because of whatever, how long would that be to finish the round? You can mathematically figure it out.
Sure.
Right? Yep. So if it took me an hour and 40 minutes to walk the whole golf course, and then you started adding in 70 shots, even par, at this amount of time for each, that comes out to whatever, and your time par should be that. It should be 3 hours and 53 minutes or whatever. But we're not even close. But here's why. And I had this said to me quite a few years ago by one of the PGA Tour officials. We were talking about slow play, and I'm talking 25 years ago. It's not like it was just recently, 25 years ago. And he said to me, you need to understand something, Ian. If we speed up the play and play in 4 hours or less, that's an hour of airtime on television that we don't get for advertising. So we're not in a hurry to speed up play, because look at the hour we lose where we put 4 minutes of advertising in every 15 minutes of show. So we get 16 minutes of advertising at $3.5 million per.
But I can
1 minute spot.
I can also say CBS was not thrilled that tournament on Sunday ate up about 40 minutes worth of 60 minutes, which is one of their key shows. It went overtime for sure.
So don't go then. Like, I don't want to hear complaining from. Don't cover it then. Like, I don't want to hear complaining.
No, but what I'm saying is, as much as they want the airtime and they don't want to speed up play, they're also cognizant of the fact that we do want this thing to be done at 6 o'clock, and it would have been done at 5 to 6.
Yeah, but the thing of it is what was so what if they wanted to be done at 5 to 6 for air?
It would have been, yes.
Okay, and it would have been without a playoff. Okay, yes. But they want to be done at 5 to 6. What was the last tee time? If they're going to play in
2:40 or whatever it was.
No, 1:40. Because if it was 2:40, they wouldn't get done until 6:40.
Right.
So they were teeing off at I think it was 1:25. So they're already expecting to play in 4 hours and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I've told this story maybe on air before about, many years ago. It was the mid-90s. I played 2 events on the Canadian Tour where it was taking us 5 to 5.5 to play on Thursday and Friday.
That's crazy.
The week later, I played on the what is now the Corn Ferry Tour, and we played in about 4 hours and 35 or 40 minutes on Thursday and Friday. And 2 weeks after that, I was playing in Europe, and I was in the last group off on Thursday afternoon, and we played in 3 hours and 55 minutes.
Ian, there's nothing worse than going to a golf tournament, a charity golf tournament, and having a shotgun start with 2 groups on every hole.
Yep.
4
it's going to be slow. It's
going to be slow. 6 hours.
Yep.
And usually is.
Yep.
And it's painful.
Yep.
Absolutely painful.
But those events are about the charity.
I get that.
Yeah, so that's different. That's different.
I get it.
They're going to sell out for the charity. What we're talking about is PGA professional golf tournaments. We should not be 100%. Taking 5 hours, 4.5 hours to play 18 holes of golf. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And I mean, if CBS and the television people and the Golf Channel are worried about that, well, I mean, call up Rob Manfred and ask how baseball's putting up with shaving 37 minutes off of their airtime. Right. They're just injecting more ads within the broadcast. It's 2025. You can't.
They still have
there's nothing
and there's no reason golf. There's no reason. Golf is one of the easiest sports that there is to put in an ad, double screen, while you're still watching.
Yeah,
there's no reason the networks would want extra time because of advertising. They can put it in whenever they want.
There's lots of ways for them to figure out how to get the 100%. Advertisers in there. Anyway, okay, like
why don't we break here and then let's talk about, speaking of long rounds. This grass. This grass at Oakmont could make a long rounds when guys can't even find their balls.
It's going to be slow the next 2 days for
sure.
We are going to be seeing some nasty stuff. I hope the ball spotters have their eyes all checked before.
So anyway, we're going to break Thursday. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the U.S. Open and make our picks right after this. You're watching Instagram.
He was so close to nailing it.
Instigating.
That was.
Oh man! See, that's why Ryan is the host. I felt like O-Dog for a minute.
Adam, you cannot cut that out either.
We don't need a do-over.
Go to break.
What we need.
We haven't even gone to break yet. Go ahead, Ryan. You do it.
That was for me. Almost an out-of-body experience. That was a Jesus take the wheel moment, except that Clarkey crashed the car when I gave him the wheel, right?
Go ahead.
That was like when your dad was like, you're 16, just got your G1. He's like, do you want to drive home from the grocery store? And you're like, sure, Dad. And you put it right into a fire hydrant, baby. We're going to talk about the U.S. Open at Oakmont next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating, Clarkey. Wow, you're all over the place on the mic today.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right, and we're here on Instigating, not Instagram. We're on Instagram.
Instagram.
We're on there.
You're not watching. Well, you could be watching Instagram.
You never know. Well, they're going to be watching that clip, that fire send off into the break that you launched into there. Anyway, we're back here with our golf pro Ian Doig. It's time. We got to make picks for the U.S. Open. Here's how it's all going to shake out, okay? Clarkey won the event. You know what that means? He gets first pick. Now, Doigy and I are in an interesting position because we both DQ'd both our players.
I'll make the ruling.
Since my player,
you had 2 guys
scored better than his.
Ian only had one.
I will be taking second pick, and Doig.
That's got to be the rule.
And Doigy will be picking third. Okay. So allow me to grab my legal pad, and we are going to fire off into a pickoff here for the U.S. Open picks. And of course, it's Clarkey who will lead us off.
And by leading off, I have a proposal. I'd like to see if Ryan wants to trade spots with me.
Why?
I'm just asking the question.
What's the benefit of me trading the spot?
You get the first pick.
But why, though? Like, why don't you want it? Do you not like the pressure of having first
No, because there's two guys, and I'll be happy with either one of them. I'm just asking. As first place, I feel I should have the right to trade down.
Yeah, but shouldn't I have the right to veto that?
But based on the integrity of what this is, you earn the spot you're in. Fine. And if you're not first, you're last. And if you were first, so
you're last. Okay, I'll go first.
That's right. Ricky Bobby, you go first.
I'll go first. I've been struggling with this all day, and that's why I didn't really want to have to make the pick.
Oh, come on.
Because I wanted to pick whoever you didn't pick. Having said that, I'm not going to go against the guy I've picked many times.
You can't do it.
No.
You can't.
Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, you have to. The chef is cooking right now, and let me tell you something, man.
And maybe my guy will still be around next when I'm picking next, but I have a feeling he won't be. Anyway.
You never know. And look, here's the thing. We get into a situation like this where we're going into arguably the hardest golf course these guys are going to play, certainly this season, and maybe for the last few years. Now, we know the USGA, they like to pull their dirty little tricks, and if somebody shoots like 3 under on opening day, they're going to really rough this golf course up. But it's already pretty nasty. I'm sure you guys heard the interview on Overdrive with Scotty Vail saying in his 2 decades of caddying, he's never seen a harder course in terms of rough and layout, and the fairways are extremely unforgiving. With that in mind, we got to have people on our team, Clarkey, that are consistent finders of fairways in regulation. And there's a gentleman who's, look, this guy's as inconsistent as they come. He breaks my heart all the time. But one thing he does do is find himself in fairways quite often. And his name is Colin Morikawa.
Wow. Colin Morikawa. Okay. Yeah. Ian Doig with 2.
Okay.
And both your guys are available.
Yeah, this is hard.
Both your favorite guys are available.
And I'm definitely taking Ludwig Ahlberg.
Okay. I thought about him.
Ludwig Ahlberg.
He came off of a good finish on the weekend. And for my second pick, and oh man,
you're not picking your guy. You picked him every tournament.
Don't do it, Doigy.
Why not?
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Why wouldn't he pick his guy?
A mess.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe
I'm worried about his driver. I'm worried
about it.
Wow.
Shot 81 in a practice round.
Wow.
I'm taking Rory McIlroy.
Yeah. You know what?
We bullied him into it.
No, you know what? We didn't, because Doigy's a man of conviction, and he loves Rory. He might be the only guy that likes Rory more than me. Yeah. My second pick, another guy who has really stormed into form over the last couple of years, and again, he's a guy that does not get caught in the rough very often. I really like my chances with a man named Xander Schauffele.
Wow.
He'll be shuffling.
Wow, I can't believe it's come back to me. And the guy I was thinking of picking first is still available.
Yeah, but the reason I didn't pick this guy,
I know, but he hits the ball a long way, and he's gonna
hit. He cannot bully his way around a course with rough like this, brother. I don't love it. Take him, because if he's hot, he's hot.
I'm taking him.
But I don't think that this guy can outmuscle this golf course. I'm just telling you. I'm ready to be
Bryson DeChambeau.
Do it. Do it.
My guy.
Take Bryson.
Bryson is my guy. And then I get another one. Whew.
You do. I can't trip you for picking Bryson. It's Bryson, but the way
I get it. I totally agree with you. But
however, he's matured a lot the last few years. He knows that he can't muscle his way around this course.
He laser prints all his clubs. I love that.
I think he's only using the laser printed wedges now.
Oh, whatever.
I think just his wedges.
Okay, so I have one more here. Yep. I am going to step on your toes here and pick
on my toes.
Shane Lowry. That's my next
bastard. I can't stand that you did that.
That's what I just said.
That makes me puke.
Shane Lowry.
I'm going to tell you guys something. You know, I'm a big Morikawa guy.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Rory. That's not unique.
Mm-hmm.
Although Doigie's love of Rory is unique. He stands by his man.
I do.
Who sang that? Was that Dolly Parton? Who sang "Stand by Your Man"? Was that Dolly?
I'm not sure.
He does it.
She doesn't stand too close.
I'll give you a better reference. Oasis, "Stand by Me." Doigie's the guy you want in there. He stands by Rory.
Are you gonna pick?
But Shane Lowry might be my favorite golfer right now.
I know. That's why I picked him. That's why I just said that.
Okay. And I know that we just did a thing where, you know, we've talked about listen, there's a guy who's not been playing very well. I'm loading the cannon up here. I got to take some long shots. And it's only long shots based on how they've played so far this year. But there's a guy that gets dialed in on fairways and regulation, and he's an assassin when he does that.
Oh, I know.
He always plays well at the U.S. Open. I don't know if you do, brother. His name is the Yellow Shirt King. He is Hideki Matsuyama. Thank you very much. To Doigie to round out his team. Tammy Wynette, producer Adam on it. That's who sang "Stand By Your." Look at that. That's why producer Adam is always good to have in your corner. Tammy Wynette.
All right, I'm gonna go with a. I think he's going to play really well this week. I'm going to pick Jon Rahm.
That guy pisses me off every time I pick him.
A guy that, man, when he is on, he's on.
No doubt. I agree.
He's never lukewarm either. You never walk away with going, Jon Rahm played pretty okay this week. He either played unbelievable and finishes T10, or he is in the wilderness.
Yeah.
But I like the pick because the talent, we all know.
Yeah, and then for my fourth and final pick, I'm going to stick with another one of my guys. I have him in my big pool, my year-long pool. He's coming off a good tournament last week. He qualified to get in this through the longest day in golf, the 36 holes in one day. And I just think he's going to break through. He hit a shot on 18 on Sunday. And he said it in his interview. When it was in the air, he thought he had a putt to win the golf tournament, but he was so pumped up, he flew it over the back of the green, and he ended up making bogey to finish third. I'm going with Cam Young.
Yeah, I like that. A very, very talented golfer. Well, to round out my team, listen, I'm going to stick with my category. I'm going to stand by my strategy here of picking guys with big time talent that have really not gotten their acts together. But if they do, and they can keep it in the fairway too. I'm team fairway. I'm team fairways in regulation. And Clarkey, we've been doing this show for too long.
Can I pick him for you?
Yes, you can.
Is it VH?
His name is Victor Hovland.
I knew it. I can read you like a book, man.
It's a good book, brother. I win a lot of these. Not lately, but I win a lot of these. It's a good book. All right? Round us out here, Clarkey. What do you want? Last pick.
There's lots of interesting guys left, right? There's a lot of interesting guys. You know, there's all the Canadians. Pendrith, man, he's been hitting the ball long.
Tyrrell Hatton, you got Brooks
I don't like Tyrrell Hatton. He's a grumpy guy. I don't pick grumpy guys.
You can pick Sepp Straka. He's on a roll. He's playing well.
Tyrrell Hatton is grumpy.
Giuseppe is
How about the last guy to win at Oakmont?
Yeah.
Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson.
But I'm not picking any of those guys.
Dusty Johnson.
I'm going to go with a guy who's one of my staples. And I pick him a lot, and he always disappoints me. But one of these times, good old Justin Thomas is going to come through.
Oh,
JT, you're my guy.
Well, JT.
And JT hasn't been hitting it well, but I'm
Not recently, but he won a big tournament this year. He's,
Yep.
So
JT.
I
I'm happy.
I did a little bit of research, and I just thought I made a couple little notes,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting. In 2016, when the tournament was played here, Rory missed the cut. Lowry finished tied second,
Oh,
and he shot 75 or 6 the last day. He was leading going into the final round. Bryson finished tied for 15th. Rahm finished tied for 23rd. JT finished tied for 32nd.
Okay.
Scotty Scheffler missed the cut.
but it's a totally different time for Scotty.
Well, it is. And Scotty Scheffler at that time had not won a tournament yet.
No,
so he had not found himself.
Totally different time.
But I just thought I would.
Guy
Is that the Dustin Johnson? Is that the Dustin Johnson win?
Dustin Johnson.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't like, and again, like, yes, he won there. He's not winning this tournament.
no chance.
Not a chance.
I'd be floored.
Not a chance.
I'd be floored. And
I don't know
feel
what his
bad saying
odds are,
that.
but I don't know what his odds are, but they got to be
I'll tell
about
you what they are.
300,000 to 1.
I don't know.
I'll find them.
Dustin Johnson. I was going to pick Sam
looking for him.
Burns. There he is.
He is at plus
175.
17,500.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's on Bet365.
Yeah. So
he's down there.
we'll get into the rough and the greens and all that in a minute, but I just looked at the golf course. It's 7,372 yards long.
Dougie, there's a 268 yard par 3.
Actually 289 yard
Sorry.
par 3.
What is like that's
number
not
8.
fair.
Well, you got to remember these guys hit it far. They hit their 3-wood 260 yards.
Yeah,
now,
guys don't pull
270
that 3
yards.
I guess.
There are guys that can pull 5 woods out and make
There's an amateur playing in the field. What's his name? I can't think of it right now, but he hit 4-iron on the green there today in a practice round.
I saw DeChambeau had a little Instagram video, and he hit a 3-wood, I think.
But they have two par 4s that are over 500 yards, and they come late in the round, 15 and 18. It's the 10th U.S. Open at Oakmont. It's the most by any golf course. And here are the winners. I haven't named them all 10, but just a couple names that might jump out at you. Ben Hogan in 1953, Jack Nicklaus in 1962, Johnny Miller in 1973, and he shot 63 in the final round. He hit all 18 greens in regulation, 9 birdies and 1 3-putt on number 8, the par 3.
It didn't play 289 yards.
No, it did not. Ernie Els in 1994 and Dustin Johnson in 2016.
I loved Ernie.
The cut or the winning score, now it changes a little bit because it was par 72 back in the 60s. Then it went to par 71, and then it is now par 70. But the winning score, other than 2007, the winning score was between 3 and 5 under virtually every time.
Wild stuff. Eh?
But Angel Cabrera, when he won in 2007, he won at +5.
It's nuts, man.
Right? And I look at the golf course on the highlights today, and it reminded me the rough of the year Angel won at +5.
I don't disagree.
They showed Phil Mickelson on one of the holes today. He dropped 3 balls off the edge of the green, and he whiffed them 4 times before he got it on the green. Went right underneath the ball 4 times before he got
Absolutely
it on the green.
bonkers, eh?
And he's got one of the greatest short games in the history of the game. So,
Dougie, what was with the cavalcade of lawnmowers? Why can't they just take a big, wide thing and cut it? Why did they have to have 80 lawnmowers?
If you look at the angles on the slopes and stuff, if they use a great big wide one, it will cut lower in one spot than it does in the other. So they use a narrower push more, and it gets uniformity for the same length across the board. That's
there
what
you
they're
go.
after.
See, that's why. That's why we have them on the show.
And then you also, if
you needed him to explain that to you, brother. You don't know how hills work.
Yeah. So the other thing that they do when they're cutting,
if your wheels are level with the hill, then it's going to cut it.
I know, but if it's too wide, it doesn't work that way. So, and the other thing too is if you watched when they were cutting in a fashion so that the grass would lay against the players for their shot to the green, which makes it even tougher.
Like a zero turn would cut it.
Yeah. but it's,
I don't know.
Anyway,
I've never seen like 80. There had to be 80 lawnmowers.
Oh,
on this
for sure there
hole.
was
80.
But
80.
At Augusta, when they cut the fairways,
Adam, we should find that and cut it in.
They cut the fairways with walk behind greensmores at Augusta, and there's 15 or 16 guys walking down the fairway at the same time, just one after another. Yeah, so whole different level. The greens, they're talking about the greens being 14.5 on the stimp meter. So if they're that fast and it stays dry, they'll get even faster for the weekend, which is crazy fast. And then you take the slopes into account. So typically, if you're on about a 2% slope, if you're at 14.5 on the stimp meter and you're putting uphill 2%, that's going to take it back to about 11, still pretty quick. But if you are a 2% downhill putt, that 14.5 is going to change to 19. So it'll be 19 on the stimp meter on a downhill putt.
That's like putting on your driveway.
Yeah, honestly, it'd be like going out and trying to putt it off the hood of your car and stop, or the roof of your car and stop it on the hood.
It's going to be insane. Listen, Doigy, we've talked about this before. Like the USGA, I feel like if they had their chance, like if they had their way, they'd play the tournament at this golf course every year. Like the USGA gets such a stiffy for this golf course, and they get an absolute hard on for this. What is it about the USGA? And it's not just Oakmont. Oakmont is at the very, very extreme over here, but it doesn't matter where they play this tournament. They love to make it just an absolute grueling, which is great. Like we like to see the Canadian Open where there's big scoring too. I understand that, but like, it seems to me sometimes, especially at Oakmont, that this borderlines on like masochism. Like, what is it about the way they like setting this tournament up? Why do they do it like this?
Well, if you compare the Canadian Open this past week with the US Open, the Canadian Open had very wide fairways, very generous. The rough was difficult in places, but not uniformly across the golf course. And what did we have? What was the winning score? 18 under. Right? The USGA never wants the winning score to be far from even par. They want to test the driver. So you have to drive it straight. So they make the fairways 21, 22 yards wide. They want to test the iron play. So they have extreme differences. They've got a few short holes this week where it's going to be a hybrid off the tee or an iron off the tee and a short iron in, but they're going to have some holes where you're going to be hitting driver and 4 irons into the green. So they're testing every iron in the bag. And then you get on the greens. The greens are very firm, very fast, and very undulating, and the pins will be tucked. That tests your ability to curve the golf ball in your iron shots. Therefore, you have to be in the fairway to curve the ball. Right? Because if you're in the rough, you really can't control what the ball's doing. It just comes out kind of crazy knuckling. So that puts the premium on driving. So they're basically testing every physical part of your golf swing and your golf game. You have to hit draws off the tee, fades off the tee, but they're also testing 2 other things that are big in championship golf. They're testing your mental capacity to deal with adversity, and they're testing your patience. And Jack Nicklaus used to say all the time when he got to the US Open, and he'd hear guys on the putting green or the practice range complaining about the heavy rough or the length of the golf course. And he said, well, he's not going to win. I've already knocked him out. So he typically said that there was only 30 guys that he had to beat at the end of the week because everybody else had already beaten themselves.
That makes perfect sense. You can't approach this golf course with a negative mindset.
My feeling is I love to watch guys struggle because it sort of reminds me of me.
There is entertainment in it.
There's entertainment. No, my only thing is like I have no problem with them penalizing guys who can't hit the fairway in the rough. Too bad. Miss greens. Too bad. I just hope the greens aren't gimmicky and too fast because that will ruin it for me.
I think they will be too fast at times, but
I don't like it. I don't like that part.
That's hard to say. It's really funny when you contrast the 2 tournaments. If you think about the Masters and you think about the U.S. Open, the U.S. Open has this long rough, and it's just an absolute test from start to finish. And then you look at the Masters, which is arguably the greatest event every year in golf, and the birdies and the eagles that are made on Saturday and Sunday afternoon down the stretch, because there's no real rough, right? They call it second cut, but it's very short. I mean, it's negligible at best, but it's still an exciting tournament, and we can see guys shoot 18 under or 14 under, whatever, and we get excited about that. But when we go to the U.S. Open, we want to see people shooting par or higher.
Well, just like the
right?
Open, the British Open, the same thing. Like like I don't know what the scores are at the British Open, but like you play St. Andrews, the wind, the dry conditions, like ball rolls forever. Guys are, I don't know, what would they shoot there? Like, and I enjoy watching that too.
Yeah. Well, that varies because of weather and course conditions.
No doubt.
So, I mean, I've seen close to even par win the British Open, but I've also seen 21 under win the British Open. So,
no, for sure. But it's fun to watch. I just hope, like, to me, if a guy hits the ball on the green and he's 15 feet away, he should be able to 2-putt. And that's all I'm hoping. It's not like he hits the ball and it rolls down and it's barely moving, and then all of a sudden it picks up speed and he ends up 30 feet away. I hope we don't.
We're going to see. We're going to see that.
I hope
we are going to see that.
100%.
That will be happening.
That's done.
Guys that have already shot practice rounds. I think Bob Weeks said that he was like, this is a speed circuit, like on these greens.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. That would just
he described the rough as a green truffle. Like he was like, this looks like a multi-layered dessert. Like he's crazy. Like, if you put a ball in here, especially like if you low flight it off of wood or something, he's like, they better have spotters, like extra spotters. He's like,
they must.
They
have thousands.
They have to.
There. Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah. There's going to be guys losing balls. No doubt about it.
And the Open this year might be pretty similar, man. Royal Portrush, like if it's rainy and windy, see you later. The rough isn't as punishing, but the bunkers and the fairways are no bigger at Portrush.
Well, and the angles off the tees there are very difficult.
Oh, right? Yeah, you're shooting uphill into
you're shooting up hills, but you're shooting across fairways and stuff on the angles, so that makes that different. It's going to be a fun week. I think I'm excited about watching it, and I'll watch it as much of it as I can. But I have to play a practice round on Sunday, so I'll have to tape it and then watch it when I get back from my tournament. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see what happens. But the greens will be quick. I don't know if you saw or not. I can't remember what player it was, but they were showing on highlights today that he putted it from 120 yards off the first green and holed it. But from 120 yards, he hit a putter and it just rolled, and they showed the whole thing and it went in. So, those are the shots that you can play out at Oakmont.
The old Texas wedge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My hope is that on my way south,
daughter's boyfriend,
I'm
Dan,
going to stop in and play it.
Club. Texas wedge.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be interesting, man. I can't wait to watch it, and very thankful to have your expertise on here as always, Doigy. Good luck with your team.
Yeah, hopefully you guys make the cut, because it wasn't even interesting to watch.
I'll be upset if it
like honestly, like I knew my guys were going to win.
Week we've ever seen that. I think it's the first week it's ever happened where two of us have missed their cut. Like I'll be devastated.
It was pure domination.
Here's the crazy thing, honestly. We picked 12 players. All 12 of them could miss the cut.
Absolutely. That's what this golf course is. Like we could see
golf course, and
that's not going to happen. I will bet you right now that's not going to happen.
Some no name that we've never heard of could come out of the pack and win.
Knapp.
I don't even think he's playing.
Oh, he's not? Because he can hit the ball 400 yards.
But
Jake had a good tournament in the Canadian Open.
Yeah. There's a couple guys that I think might surprise, and very interesting that I mean, there's going to be some big name players miss the cut because they're not driving. If they're not driving it well, they're going to really struggle.
Absolutely. Correct. There's going to be some big.
That's why I would not have picked Rory
involved. Yeah. Well, leave him alone about Rory. I will say this though, and I did consider picking our guy Corey, because Corey has T10'd a lot of big tournaments this year. Yep. And if there's one thing we know about Corey, he's one of the best tee to green guys in terms of playing fairway and regulation. I think he's second on tour right now. It's like crazy. His percentage crazy high. It's in the 90s. So,
but I didn't pick him. He's a bad putter or a poor putter.
That's what scared. That's what scared me.
You get him on those greens, and
you
don't know what's going to happen. right?
I love Corey. I want Corey to win. He's not on my team. I want Corey to win.
So
for sure, we all do.
Yeah.
All right, Doigie, this is great, buddy. When we come back, I have to address something. Clarkey doesn't know I'm doing this, but I don't know
what's happening.
Look, it's midway through. It's about the midway point of the season. We're creeping up near the midway point of the baseball season, and I have some apologies I'd like to make. I'm a big man, and I'm ready to admit when I'm wrong, and I have some apologies I'd like to issue. Okay,
I'm not
coming
apologizing.
up next on instigating, which is on Instagram, but this is Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. We'll see you in a minute. Wrapping things up this week on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Thanks again to our buddy Ian Doig, our golf expert of the Ian Doig Golf Academy. You want golf lessons? You want to get a little better? Doigie's the guy to go and see. You can get a lot better, as a matter of fact. Hoping that there's a lot better performances for our guys in the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Speaking of better performances,
don't go there. Don't apologize.
I have to do it.
If you're apologizing to these management guys with the Blue Jays, is that where you're going?
I don't want to apologize necessarily to them, but I would like to apologize to the team as a whole, because I did not have a lot of high hopes based on what we saw last year, for very good reason, and really the last.
You say your bit here, and I'm gonna rebut.
Well, I'm gonna throw some stuff at you here that I don't think.
Go ahead, throw it all you want. Throw it all you want.
Baseball, the numbers, the computer don't lie, brother.
No.
And here we go.
Oh, we know that. Computer runs the team.
Today, yes. Well, the simulation is running. Keanu Reeves is on the hamster wheel, brother. It is Wednesday, June 11th, as we chat here. The Jays just completed a sweep of the St. Louis Cardinals, which I'm very appreciative of. Cubs fan, they're trying to chase my boys down. Really appreciate the help, Blue Jays. That is, in today's sweep, their 21st comeback win of the season. That's best in the American League. In 2024, the Jays didn't get their 21st comeback win until August 26th. But here's where it gets real insane. Coming into today's game, since May 8th, the Blue Jays are first in wins and with their best record at 20-10. That's better than the Dodgers. That's better than the Yankees. That's better than the Padres. That's better than the Cubs. How about that? Extra base hits since that time, 100, first in Major League Baseball. Strikeout percentage, 16.2, lowest in Major League Baseball. Their walk percentage, second best in Major League Baseball. And this is the King Daddy topper. This team with runners in scoring position the last 3 years really has been an utter disgrace. And it's lost them a lot of games. Batting average with runners in scoring position during this 21-10 romp, 313, first in Major League Baseball. There's a lot of games left. I would like to apologize to the Toronto Blue Jays for doubting that they could put anything positive together. This is beyond positive. This is unbelievable. And I might have to go down to the park and see it, Clarkey. I'm sorry. I know we made a pact, but the Cubs are in town in August. I might have to go.
Okay, here's the deal.
Okay.
If they're still in the position they are now,
yeah,
we'll go see the Cubs.
Okay.
You and I'll go.
So if they're no worse than second in the AL East,
if they're in a wild card spot,
now, yeah,
if they're in a playoff spot, then we'll go.
And they are. Okay.
And I don't want to be Mr. Negative, but you started off this segment by saying, or at some point you said, it's June 11th.
Yeah, it's
Let's
June 11th.
not get too excited. This team is running a hot hand right now. No doubt about it. The question that I have is
31 games? That's a hell of a hand.
It's a heck of a hand.
That's the type of stretch where if you play better, just better than 500 ball, you can get into the playoffs.
Yep. So all I'm saying is I'm not getting too excited yet. Yes, 31 games, a lot of games. It's good.
It's amazing. It's really nice.
But the next month they could turn this around and we could be talking about the same old Blue Jays.
I understand. It's just the other thing too is they're beating
because when Santander comes back, this team might go back in the tank.
Tony might have to dig his head out of his ass a little bit here because he is really
he's not in the lineup, if you ask me.
You know what?
He's a pinch hitter off the bench. He's Cliff Johnson. Hit a home run,
now,
we want you. Because
right now he is.
Yeah, and Max
I'll tell you this,
Scherzer, there's another one.
Scherzer, yeah, here's the thing is like they're doing this right now with basically 3 starting pitchers that are pitching competently because Bowden Francis is lost in the woods.
Which is too bad. This guy last year
love this guy.
Kept going like we thought he was gonna throw a no-hitter every time he pitched.
Guys have figured him out and he's got to make some adjustments here and throw better pitches.
That guy was a force last year.
His location's really
wasn't.
off.
Yeah.
The Jays are doing this with basically 3 pitchers, and if you watch last week's show with Keegan Matheson, there's some guys that are potentially going to be attractive on the trade market. I like me some Sandy Alcantara. I like Zach Gallen as a reclamation project. The Diamondbacks are in a lot of trouble. Corbin Burns, Tommy John, see ya. $30 million down the tube.
Yeah.
They're doing this with 3 pitchers, and Vlad and Bo, like, they're playing okay. I'd even give Vlad over this stretch pretty good. He's been pretty good, but he's not been high-end Vlad. And Bo, he's getting on base a lot, and he's coming up with some clutch hits, but even he's not at those levels we saw a few years back. So if that comes around, they add some help to the pitching staff. They don't need bullpen help, I'll tell you that right now. The bullpen's hello. Mm-hmm. If these guys get hot and turn into all-stars, how about Alejandro Kirk?
He's been unbelievable. He has been unbelievable.
Outrageously
he is
good.
Like red hot. No doubt about it.
Outrageously.
And I'll get, you know what?
He's a fire hydrant, dude.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
it's nice to talk about, isn't it? Isn't this nice?
Sure. It's nice. I'm skeptical. I'm still skeptical.
I understand. You should be skeptical.
Nice.
These
like,
guys have done
with Kirk and Moreno, like it was, which one are they trading or whatever? But, and I thought it was a mistake trading Moreno, but I
still think that. But Moreno is lost in the
and they thought Kirk was a heck of a hitter. They thought this guy was unbelievable. I've watched some documentaries of them talking about Kirk when he was in the minors, how good this guy could be. And maybe, just maybe, they waited long enough and they're seeing the results. Let's hope. Well, as a Blue Jay fan, I'll say a fair weather Blue Jay fan, because I am, and I admit it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I would like nothing better to watch some games in October. I'd love to watch some games in October. Hey, I remember back 2015, Jose Bautista. I remember those. I was at a game. I went to a playoff game. Jenna and I, my daughter, went to a game. And it was
unbelievable
awesome
stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot better than when Amanda and I went to the Leaf game. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I bet it was, brother. Speaking of that, real quick.
In fact, I think the Jays got slaughtered that game too, I think, actually, when I come to think of it.
They may well have.
Maybe it's me.
The Oilers, they got to dig themselves out of a little hole here, too.
Well, I'm not going to have my prediction right, but I said Oilers in 5. That's not happening. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll... Oilers in 6 doesn't sound too bad. I still believe. I believe. I've cause to believe in McJesus and Draisaitl. I don't have cause to believe, like you said, that the Jays are going to keep this up. Although, I will say, what a nice window. They're first in a lot of major categories. Let's keep these vibes going.
Yeah.
Hey, if we get 80% of the current vibes the rest of the season, they're going to the playoffs. And hey, if Vlad and Bo come alive, they add some pitching help. Hey, but that's what I need, though. If this continues, one criticism, and I brought it up with Keegan last week, go buy Keegan's book, The Franchise, Curated History of the Jays, is that they are reticent to make the big in-season edition. They do a lot of work in the offseason. If this team's rocking and rolling, approaching the trade deadline like this, go out and have some balls and add to this and go for it. Let's go. Come on, Blue Jays. Get it together here and keep this thing rolling. We love it. Thanks to Ian Doig for coming on.
Gotta go.
Love our U.S. Open picks. We got to wrap it up.
Thanks for watching Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Remember, you can catch the show weekly on Whiteman TV. That's Channel 6, Fridays at 8 p.m., debuting on YouTube at 9. Of course, we're on Instagram and Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter. It's at Twitter. Instigating Pod. Watch the U.S. Open. Remember our picks. We're going to tweet them out. You're going to be able to watch. But until next week, and until I repeat as the champion of the U.S. Open, I'm going to be closing the show every week from here on in. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Closer.